Hi everybody, so this is my Dell Optiplex 720 small form factor desktop PC. I use this to run a Blue Iris server for security cameras. It doesn't do anything else but that, but because of the small form factor it can get quite warm, and when the fans spin up it can get quite noisy. So what I'm going to do today is upgrade the CPU fan with this Noctua Redux fan. Noctua obviously known for their high quality, so hopefully we'll be getting better cooling and it'll be a lot quieter. So the first thing to do is just open up the machine. It's quite simple. On the Optiplex machines there's just a little quick release lever here, just to tug on that and then you can open it up. So if we just, so here's the main CPU cooling fan. That's a Dell OEM 80mm fan. The way the cooling works on these machines, you can see that they're quite densely populated. At the front of the machine here is another 80mm fan which draws air into the case. Then this fan, the main CPU cooling fan, draws air down, and then you can see this shroud around the edge pushes the air all over the main CPU on the motherboard, and then the air can exhaust at the back of the machine here through those grills. So I'm only going to be changing this fan today, so let's go ahead and take that out. So the first thing to do is just to remove this cooling shroud that directs the air down into the CPU, and all you need to do is just pull these tabs just outwards, and then you can just lift the shroud up and that's removed. Then the next thing to do is unpin or just pull out the connector cable, which is the power supply and the PWM controller. That's on a Dell proprietary 5-pin connector. I'm not going to be able to film that while I do it, but if I just go down and squeeze the connector together, I can just pull that gently out of the motherboard. So I'll go and do that now. Okay, so the lead's out and you can see, I think if I just zoom in there, that's got 5 pins. The Noctua fan has got 4, so I've got an adapter for that, which I'll show you a bit later. The next thing to do is to remove the 4 screws on the corners here. If I just zoom in a bit there, let's just zoom in, you can see the screws are just on the bottom there. There's just small Phillips head screws, and they screw the fan onto the cooling radiator. So let's go ahead and take those out. Okay, once those screws are undone, you can just gently lift that out of the assembly. You can see the screws now. Now you're going to need to keep those. The ones that come with a Noctua fan are probably not going to fit, so we'll put those to one side. And you can see, if I just zoom in on the cooler, you can see these little flanges here that are threaded. These are where the fan screws go into. So let's just take a look at the Noctua fan. As I said before, this is their Redux line, so it's a kind of a bare bones Noctua fan. It hasn't got all the various adapter cables and rubber tabs, but it's got everything we need. So let's just flip the box over. So the spec of this one, this is their NFR8 Redux line, spins at 1800. It's a 4-wire PWM fan, 80mm, and it, most importantly, it can move 53.3 meters cubed air per hour. Typical low noise for Noctua, 17 dBA, and it only draws 0.72 watts or 0.06 amps. So let's get that open and take a look, and then we'll get that fitted. So as I said, it is the bare bones line, so you don't get much in the box. We've got these screws that come with it, but they are, if you look, these are designed for a different kind of fitting. They're much bigger than the ones that came in the original Dell, so we'll be using the Dell Originals. I'm just putting these to one side for now, and then let's take the fan out of the box. And there we go. This is grey and black. The other Noctuas are brown, but I thought I'd go with this one. This was, I think, £11 plus delivery. You can see the spec there, NFR8 Redux 1800 PWM. So what we've got to do, if you look at the connector on here, that's a 4-pin connector. Dell have their own, for whatever reason, proprietary connector, which is 5-pin. So I have bought this adapter, so we just get that out of the box, and this should let us connect our Noctua fan to the Dell motherboard, and you can see there's the adapter, and that takes us to the 5 pins that we need to go into the Dell motherboard. I got this off of I think, what did I get it, AliExpress, or I think it was AliExpress, yeah, for about 90 pence. You can also get these off eBay and Amazon, no problem. So what I'll do is I'll connect this into the motherboard first, then I'll connect the fan to it, the Noctua fan, and then we'll mount the fan, and then lastly we'll put the shroud back on. Okay, so I've got the adapter lead plugged in here, and that gives me the correct adapter for the Noctua fan. So what we need to do now is just mount that Noctua fan on. Make sure you get the orientation right. You want the air blowing down into the CPU cooler. So if I just lay that on there like so, and then we just need to put these screws back in, so I'll go ahead and do that now. Okay, so that's the fan all screwed down. I've connected the 5 to 4-pin connector to the Noctua lead. Just need to tuck that lead away in the PC case, and then just put the shroud down again to make sure we get the air flow over the CPU and cooler. So just push that down gently, and then that will just click in place if you listen. That's that in place. Okay, so that's all fitted. I think that looks really nice. Shroud's all back in, all screwed in, and the leads routed around the outside nicely. I'm just going to power this up quickly and see how it sounds before I reassemble it. Now, when I switched it on before with the standard Dell OEM fan, there was a rush of fan and it was quite noisy. So I'll just stay quiet and switch this on and see what happens. That's incredibly quiet. I must admit, you really can't hear that. You really have to try quite hard. Much quieter than the stock fan for sure. The next test will be, once I've reassembled, just to look at the temperatures. I did take some temperature readings before, over a few minutes, so I'll do the same test and see what the new temperatures are like. So let's go ahead and reassemble this thing. Okay, so let's just put the cover back on and clip that down. So that's it. The upgrade is all done. All we need to do now is get it all connected back up. I'll leave it running for a while, and then I'll check the temperatures, and then I'll get both sets of temperatures before and after on screen to see if it's made any difference. Okay, so let's look at some before and after cooling results. So just to remind us of what the PC is, it's a Dell Optiplex 720. It runs an i7-4790 CPU, which runs at 3.6 gigs or 4 gigs on burst. It's got 32 gig of RAM installed. Most importantly, this is dedicated as a Blue Iris security camera server, and it runs 24/7 recording and transcoding video. Okay, so let's look at the temperatures before. So these tests were done at an ambient temperature of 21 degrees Celsius, and you can see across the cores there was an average of 50 degrees C. So there was a maximum of 84 degrees C, a minimum of 34, and an average of 42. Now let's look at the graphs afterwards. Again, I took the measurements at ambient temperature of 21 degrees Celsius, and you can see there is a few differences to note. So first of all, across the cores, the core temperature was 44 degrees, and the maximum was only 66, a minimum of 41, and an average of 48. One of the biggest conclusions for me was that it is a lot quieter, for sure. Noctua fans are known for being quiet, and you can see that the temperatures are lower across the piece and probably more even. If we look at them side by side, we can see the differences. So if we just look at the cores there side by side, you can see that the package temperatures have gone down from 50 down to 44. But that peak temperature, which was at 83, is now only 66, and the other temperatures are pretty much similar. So I would say definitely worthwhile doing the fan upgrade. I've got much more even cooling across the cores of the CPU. So for me, absolutely worthwhile. And in the future, I'm going to add some additional fans, especially at the exhaust, to get that air moving across the computer interior. Anyway, I hope you found that video helpful. If you did, please consider subscribing. It really helps me out, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next video. Take care, everybody.